Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Whoa, I said that. That was a little bit crazy. I feel the pressure to say Centennial World in an interesting way every single day now that I know you guys say it along with me. I love it, but it does put the pressure on me. Anyways, welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. I fear I have a very big episode for you guys today, so strap in, maybe get like a snack. I have no idea how long this episode's going to be, but I have 4 stories for you guys. One of them is kind of short, but before I get into the stories, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a business update. I know some of you like hearing about this. I do put timestamps down below if you don't give a shit about like me or the business that I run or this podcast or anything. So fair, just go down to the timestamps and the stories will start. So very exciting news, but a couple of weeks ago, we signed our very first year-long partnership for next year. There is going to be some content like across everything. So like our newsletter, our TikTok, our podcast, obviously, and also on my own personal TikTok and Instagram, which is like a little bit unhinged because I don't know. I don't really have... I don't do like personal sponsorships or anything. I mean, I literally have like 1,000 followers on TikTok. That's it. But on my Instagram, I have more than that, but still like I am not like an influencer, like I went down the YouTube route for a little bit, like vlogging my life personally. And then I was like, this is actually just not for me. So it's interesting. It's kind of a cool part of the partnership, but it's actually going to be around like my journey as a founder and like how this partnership and like my founder experience tie in together as opposed to like me talking about the brand or the product, if that makes sense, which feels a lot more authentic and real because that's what I do on my channels. Like if I do make TikTok content or reels or whatever, it's all about the business. So if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, please follow me. It's just at Lauren Meisner _. I know a lot of you guys, most of you guys are not following me. But yeah, it's really exciting. I feel like, we've been doing this now, this brand, Centennial World, for a few years now. We're actually coming up, it sounds kind of insane, on our 5th birthday. But Mini Scroll, I've only been doing since April. And then the bigger podcast, Infinite Scroll, I did for several years before with, my co-founder, Jordan, who left at the beginning of this year. So it feels like a big win for us. Like I still feel like we're a baby brand, even though we're almost technically 5 years old. But like so much has changed and we've changed our business model like 100 times in those 5 years. And I feel like now we have it set and it feels like just sticking with this, the work is starting to pay off, which is like so exciting. And the other thing that I wanted to share, I feel like it's definitely not a win. I think that this is just like going along with what I was saying about like the founder journey. Like some of the best things can happen to you in the same week as like some of the biggest losses. And to be fair, like given the context of this year and everything I've gone through, like this is nowhere near one of like the quote unquote biggest losses. But I was like this close, I feel like this close to getting an in-person interview with Jojo Siwa. And I did not get it. I'm so sad. So tonight is the Australian TikTok Awards. They do the TikTok Awards every year since I think like 2020 or 2021, probably 2021, because I think we were locked down in 2020. But yeah, so every year there's the Australian TikTok Awards around this time in Sydney. And we are always invited, but we've actually never been granted like red carpet access. So last year I was like, hey, we would love to do red carpet next year. Feels like it's a seamless fit. We have a media brand that almost exclusively covers TikTok creators, TikTok trends, what's happening on TikTok, and a lot of you guys actually this year have been asking for like more Australian focused TikTok and like news and news and like creators and stuff like that. So yeah, it felt like, obviously, it feels like the red carpet we should absolutely be at. It actually feels like this should be like one of the biggest events in our calendar year. But yeah, so this year when we found out Jojo Siwa was coming, I was like, please, can we get red carpet access? Like we need to interview Jojo Siwa. We have covered her like 1,000 times on this podcast. Like think about how many times we have talked about Jojo Siwa. And you guys know, like I am a JoJo Siwa apologist. Like I see what she has been through. And I was like, please. Anyways, so that is like the plight of being a startup is you have these wins where like someone will take a chance on you and you feel so grateful and you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe that we're getting this opportunity. And then you will be humbled so quickly, like the very same day. And it's just that constant fight of trying to like prove yourself, you know, like trying to prove that I have an audience that would very much like to hear from JoJo Siwa. You guys would die if I was interviewing JoJo Siwa. That would be so crazy. So it's just like always constantly like breaking down these fucking barriers of being like, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. We do have an engaged audience. We do reach this many millions of people every single month. Like we are covering this. Like we are the Australian, as far as I know, the only Australian Gen Z publication that covers exclusively internet culture. You know, like we don't really cover mainstream pop culture. Like we cover what is happening online, and 90% of that is related to what is happening on TikTok. And so it is just that, like that dichotomy of like experiences in like the same like week is so crazy. But yes, so that is kind of my little Centennial World business update, but I'm so excited about this year-long partnership. It feels like a huge win. It feels like a huge like weight off of us, and it just feels like, yeah, the start of something like really exciting. All right, let's get into the stories for today. Me saying that we don't cover mainstream pop culture in my first story is literally about Taylor Swift. However, it is a Taylor Swift story related to TikTok theories. Okay, so there are new theories as to when Taylor Swift is going to release Reputation Taylor's version. So our partnerships manager, Alex, is the biggest Swiftie. So I asked her to put this theory together for me, and she wanted me to say on the podcast before I share this theory that this is not her theory. This is like a culmination of TikTok theories, which is how we report on the news here anyways. You guys know that. Okay, so Swifties are now convinced that Taylor is releasing Reputation Taylor's version on the final leg of her tour in Vancouver. This is like just bullet points, like bam, bam, bam. Here are all the reasons, okay? So stick with me. In her music video for her song Karma, you see Taylor dressed as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, walking on the yellow brick road. And she is in her ruby red slippers, and she says, I keep my side of the road clean. You wouldn't know what that means, which is a lyric from, not from Reputation, from Karma. This signals to all the people who have wronged her, and as we know, Reputation, the album, is all about the people that have wronged her, okay? Then you look back to the Lover music video where Taylor is climbing the ladder in the Lover house to the Reputation room, and the room she is climbing from only has yellow clothes hung up and a wooden basket on the floor, which signals back to the yellow brick road and Dorothy with Toto in her basket, which then signals back around to the Karma music video. And if you look at Taylor's Instagram grid right now, you can see in her posts that she has created a yellow brick path with 4 of her posts so far. If her next post is yellow, then the path continues. Otherwise, if her next post isn't until December 6th, which is her first show in Vancouver, then it may be the Reputation album cover where the path leads to this release. And then the craziest full circle part of this is that Vancouver is known as the Emerald City. I actually didn't know this. I'm Canadian, but I'm from Toronto. And Alex was like, is this true? And so I was like looking it up online, and actually it seems like it is true. It is called the Emerald City. And that would make so much sense that she releases her Dorothy storytelling at the place called the Emerald City, obviously. Okay, so now this is some extra lore. There are like 3 points of extra lore that Alex included in this. Taylor had an interview with Times Magazine on December 6th, 2023, and said Reputation Taylor's version vault would be fire. And her first show in Vancouver is December 6th, 2024. Exactly 1 year later. The extra lore is that her Reputation bodysuit recently has changed from the red snakes to the gold snakes, aka the yellow brick road. And then this is extra crazy fucking lore, Alex wrote, in quotes. Taylor always dresses to the album launch, like her outside real world fashion always symbolizes like the album launch. And recently she's apparently been wearing plaid. And she says, who wears plaid? Fucking Dorothy. Okay, love you, good luck. Okay, so I don't know about all of that stuff, but I'm going to say it would make sense just from like a practical perspective for her to release Reputation before the Eras Tour ends, because the Eras Tour, at least the way that I take it, is that it is like a representation of this era of her career, right? That she is deciding then to kind of bring to a close. And I think it would be really exciting if we saw something like completely different from Taylor after the Eras Tour ends. So yeah, I think it makes sense that she would release like the final album that she hasn't re-recorded. And I know she hasn't re-recorded Debut, but I also know that a lot of Swifties think she just won't re-record that one. So I'm kind of just ignoring that fact. But I think, yeah, like when it comes to Reputation, it makes sense for her to like close that chapter by re-releasing it before the Eras Tour ends. And then once the Eras Tour ends and then all of her re-records are done, like that is closing a huge chapter. Like that is closing this chapter of her career, which I see the Eras Tour as like a symbol of, if that makes sense. So that is the latest theory. Let me know if you guys believe it or not. Okay, the next story that I have is that Makenna Gibbons has defended herself against Taylor Frankie Paul's clapback from yesterday. So Makenna has come with her own receipts to debunk what Taylor implied yesterday in her TikToks. For a refresher, Taylor posted a screenshot of a message that Makenna's phone had sent back like amid, the swinging stuff, saying, "Hope you're having fun in Moab. I'm drunk and I wish I was kissing you." So Taylor was showing that, saying like, Makenna sent me this message, showing that Makenna was like really down for the swinging. So Makenna in this new TikTok today showed the full thread. So after Taylor responded being like, "Oh, I was drunk last night too, like we can kiss next weekend, haha," like just like was nice back to that message, Makenna replied saying, "Oh no, haha, I don't know what I even said. I have zero memories of any text messages going to you. What did it say? Was it a voice message?" So Makenna says she couldn't even see that message, like the message where she said, "Hope you're having fun in Moab. I'm drunk and I wish I was kissing you," which is why she was like, "What did I send you? Was it a voice message, like a voice note?" Because she's like, I couldn't even see it because Braden, who was Makenna's husband at the time, sent it to Taylor from her phone and then deleted that message, but Makenna still has it on her iPad. So like the messages she was showing us in the TikTok from today were screenshots of her iPad messages, like her iMessages on her iPad. So she's like, I could see it in the iCloud, like on my iPad, but it was not in my phone, which is why I was like, what did I send you? And then she showed more messages where they're talking about how Makenna's ex Braden sent Taylor that message. So I guess that was like a known thing they had talked about. And you can actually see Makenna write, "I was talking about you and wanting you there," and told presumably Braden, but she like scratched out his name. So I think she probably wrote Bray or Braden, "to text you on my phone." And then she continues by talking about how she feels like this whole swinging stuff has painted her into like a bisexual light, which she is not. And she was like, "No judgment to anyone that is, but like I'm not." So I think that was, again, her trying to prove like she was not down for the swinging, like she had wanted it to stop. And I mean, I said this yesterday, but this is just Taylor being so messy because those messages had timestamps. Like I believe that those are real messages that Makenna's showing. And Taylor obviously knows how the conversation continued after she received that message from Makenna's phone. So yeah, I think it was just Taylor being really shady. And she is just, like I said yesterday, like all those girls, not Makenna, but like all the girls on the show are like masters of drumming up engagement and drama online. And they're doing it to get people to watch season 2, And Makenna says like she's been offered the show many times. She's always declined. And this, like, I don't think Makenna's part in this and her telling her story like that, I don't think is, I mean, it's definitely not for the show. Like, she's not on the show. So like, it's not for the show. But yeah, it's all just kind of like culminating together at the same time of like when Taylor and like all the other girls are trying to drum up like press and drama and stuff for their show for season 2 to get kind of like us excited for season 2, I guess. So I guess Taylor was leaning into that when she made that TikTok about Makenna. But now it seems like it's backfiring because Makenna's coming here with the receipts. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is we need to talk about the creator who is going viral for sharing her unhinged out of office messages. So Chef Moise is a chef and a creator on TikTok with over 87,000 followers. She shares cooking, vlogs, and like lifestyle content mostly. According to her TikTok playlist, Corporate Workday, it seems like she works as an operations manager as well for a catering company. So as well as being like a private chef, she works, corporate job, like being an operations manager for this catering company. I don't know if that's where she currently works, but as of April, that's what her vlogs were saying. Okay, so earlier this week, she went super viral for talking about these unhinged out of office messages that she sends when she goes away, or like that she sets up to send when she goes away.
At first, they were like fun little stories about like adventures involving like squirrels and sharks, and they would just be really fun, like little stories that you can read, when I'm not there. So then I changed it and I started making the stories a lot more serious, and they had like a historical context, and they had fun facts, and they were just like a great elaborate stories. And my most recent one is giving wellness tips, like how to stretch at your desk, how to practice mindfulness, how to make sure that you get up and walk every 20 minutes if you spend a long time at your desk.
Okay, so she said that her boss keeps pulling her up, being like, these are unprofessional, like please just set up like more normal out of office emails. And she was saying that she feels like she is being, quote, smothered by corporate America right now, that her personality is being smothered. So this has caused quite the discussion online. A lot of people are like, come on, this is obviously really unprofessional. Like, get a journal if you want to express yourself. And others are kind of on her side, saying basically something like this would make work way more enjoyable if people felt like empowered to be themselves and share these like quirky sides of themselves. And okay, I actually have a story about a really unhinged out of office email that I got only just a few months ago. So it was someone working at a media agency who was, interestingly enough, representing a really big bank, which feels kind of crazy when you think about it, because you think about banks as being like so corporate. And they literally had like unicorn emojis and sparkles and hearts. And it was like, hey diva, I'm on vacay. Like, it was actually wild. It was so funny. But obviously, like, me receiving it, I fucking loved it. Like I shared it with my whole team. We wanted to print it out and frame it and like put it on our wall. Like, we thought it was so funny. We were literally dying. It was like brain rot as an email. It was amazing. But I think it depends on like who that email lands with, right? Like, you can never guarantee that the person on the other side of that email is going to appreciate it or how they're going to take it. So I do think you have to play it safe, unfortunately, in corporate, and you just have to play the game. And this is actually another big conversation right now on TikTok, or like CorporateTok, I guess. And this is not about Chef Moise specifically, but there's a big discussion right now about how a lot of young people didn't get to experience like an ease into workplace or like corporate life because of the pandemic. And then now, obviously, like everyone's just been working from home for years. Like, even if you still go into the office a little bit, like, you're not going into the office 5 days a week, most of us anymore, right? So you just miss out on like observing the dynamics of corporate culture and corporate structures and things like that. Like, I know for me, entering the workforce when I was right out of university into my first job in corporate, like, I realized pretty early on that it didn't come natural to me to understand like the politics of a workplace, the hierarchy, and how kind of like all the pieces fit together in an organization. And that was something that I had to like actively work on learning and getting faster at identifying. And that was something that like I actively worked on throughout my early career. But I think if you're not exposed to that very often, you probably don't even realize like you need to learn that. You might not even realize where your blind spots are. Okay, but anyways, back to Chef Moise. So she has really taken this feedback and this virality in stride. She posted a new video today, like making fun of her writing her own out of office emails. And it was basically like no one at all. And then it was like me writing out of office emails, and it was literally just her typing on her computer for like 10 minutes. And then in the caption, she wrote, all jokes aside, I understand why I shouldn't do this anymore. I feel like, I know it's like low stakes virality, like what she was kind of getting like quote unquote backlash for was very low stakes in the scheme of like what people get backlash for on TikTok. But I just love how she responded to this. She's like, you know what? Okay, I've heard you. She didn't delete the video. And she's just like, rolling with it and making a joke out of it. I love that. Okay, and the last story that I have for you guys, a very quick one, but it's so random. Alex Warren and Joe Jonas are collaborating on a song. So Alex Warren just teased the release of a new song called Burning Down that will feature Joe Jonas. Actually didn't think Alex Warren was relevant enough to get Joe Jonas to feature on one of his songs, so I guess like good for him. I don't know. The song is coming December 6th. I don't know anything about this song. If you guys know more about this song, let me know. But it sounds like, based on the clip that he played in the TikTok, it almost sounds like it's a song about the Hype House. Like it's almost like a song about Thomas Petrou, who was like the leader of the Hype House, and how Alex feels like he was maybe kind of like manipulative or just didn't treat them right and made poor decisions. I don't know. But yeah, literally so random. I have no other thoughts. But it sounds like an okay song. Anyways, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Please star rate us on Spotify. It would mean so much to me. We're trying to get to 500 reviews by the end of the year. I think we can do it. I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.